gather, I'm sorry, I had to leave. I gather we're giving maybe just one piece of advice to you young people now, is that what's happening? This is so sincere from my heart. Yes, I've been connected with Baraboo Theater Guild for a long, long time. Directed many, many shows, mostly musicals. But here's what I want to share with you. I was here at the high school for 10 years. And the young people that became close, became very close, and have rallied around me when I got sick like you wouldn't believe. And those kids still care. Number one, care for those in your heart that you knew when you were young, because they will be still a part of your life somehow, some way. Now here's what I don't want you to forget. I've seen it happen many, many times with many of my students. When a person challenges you or says, do you think, could I? And I'll tell you about one phone call from Pomona College. Sarah called and said, Mrs. D squealing at the other end in California. I did it, I did it, I did it. Sarah, what did you do? I did, I said I would. She was acting as stage manager. The people from the Kabuki Theater in Japan were here in the United States. They went 3 places, California, Chicago, and New York. She was stage managing, listening to all of this, and as she was taking it in, all of a sudden she said to me, I did it, I said I want to. And she auditioned. Guess what? She got it. And she went into the mountains of Japan, to the Kabuki, whatever, and studied for 6 weeks. Came home, had a whole big bunch of the kids in our living room, which we were used to, and she taught the kids that were in the class with her. She taught them Kabuki. Now that's not a big thing, but yes, it is a big thing. I had many opportunities in my life, but I never had enough self-confidence to say, you can do that. I never thought I could. And I found out I can. So I had 10 of the most wonderful years of my life with my husband and here. Now I'm going to tell you, we've been together 63 years this summer. That's a long time. So we feel blessed to have been together that long. Please try something new. Don't be afraid of it. Don't say I can't. Because you never ever know where that next step is going to take you. Not that you don't want to stay in Baraboo, that's okay. But use your talent. Use your wonderful God-given brains. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to follow up on that, just by my calculations, I'm seeing about 600 years of marriage among your panel. So these people know how to protect and nurture relationships and to make things work. Dr. Dooley, you wanted to ask the group?
I'd just like to sum up a little bit and reiterate what I said before. The 1940s were really the defining moment of the entire century, and the war was an extremely important part of that. We have men sitting in this group that were wounded during the war. In the recent Iraq War, over 10 years, we lost something like 5,000 men, a terrible thing. During World War II, there were days when we lost 5,000 men a day. So they were very heroic days.
I had a request of a question. Mr. Gehagen, would you share how you met your wife, please? Would you share how you met your wife?
How I met my wife. I was assigned to a hospital at Percy Jones Hospital in Battle Creek, Michigan. And I met my wife. She was an Army nurse there. And tomorrow would have been our 67th wedding anniversary. And she lived. She died a year and a half ago. But I've had a lot of good fortune in my life, and she was the biggest one. And we had 6 great children that are alive and well, and still trying to put one over on the old man when they get together. But I wasn't going to go into any war stories, but when the powder plant got going, why Mr. Dipple's father called my home and said that I should get down to the Berkeley's garage where the Mason Hanger people that were going to build the powder plant were looking for they needed some help, and he recommended me. So I went down there and they hired me for the mailman. They gave me a new Ford car, and I went over to the post office and picked all the mail. When they moved down to the ordnance site south of Baraboo, why I had to sign for all the plans. All the plans for that place came in by registered mail, and my name has 9 letters in it, and I was wishing my name was Smith instead. But I had to sign for all those, and that I had a 4-door Ford car, as I was saying, and I would have it so full, trunk, passenger seat, back seat, everything was stuffed clear full of mail sacks with the plans for that place. And when I got into the Army, they saw that I had been a mailman, so I was assigned to the regimental post office one day, and then the next day I was taking basic training, and I was back to the post office. What they had learned the day before, I had no knowledge of it. And I got chewed out one side and up down the other side by the non-coms and the officers and everything. And so I went to the first sergeant and I said, I don't want to be a mailman. I want to be a soldier. Oh, I thought of that many times, and I rued that when the shot and shell was getting awful hot. I lost some very good friends that were killed and badly wounded with me. But I sure goofed when I got out of the post office. One of the guys I worked with, he says, Geoghegan, you could get out of the Army because you are insane for wanting to be a soldier so much.
John didn't tell you, his biggest regret is that he went in the Army instead of the Navy.
I tried to get in the Navy and they wouldn't have me.
Well, everybody's talking about the war and what we all went through it, and my mom was a very strict woman, and she brought me up, and I think her rule still is very fashionable today. Remember to treat everyone the way you want to be treated. And now the talker will shut up.
Right. Since we have about half an hour left, I would like you to get an opportunity to talk with some small groups, one-on-one. Would anyone like to stay paired up with someone else for these interviews? Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Foos, may I ask you to go back to the car table in the corner if you don't mind? Do I have someone who would like to go? We'll only have 1 or 2 students per each guest. So could I have someone join Mr. and Mrs. Foos? Thank you, Ethan. Make sure you take your notebook and something to write with as you go to record some interview notes. Would anyone else like to stay together? You want to stay together? Okay. Who would like to talk about with my dad and my father-in-law. The Badger Army Ammunition Plant, economy, Ben, might be a good one for you. So, would you two gentlemen go with Ben Keenan? Make sure you introduce yourselves, students, and start your conversations.
Where would you like us to go, Shaver?